Last Friday, the EPA announced that some Volkswagen and Audi cars made between 2009 and this year were using a so-called defeat device to get around emissions laws designed to keep the air clean. But what does that mean exactly? Well, modern cars have dozens of computers inside them, and some of those computers help coordinate the functions of the engine for optimum performance while making sure that there isn't too much garbage coming out of the exhaust pipe. They've actually been working this way for several decades now. Basically, every part of a modern car's engine has a sensor or a controller on it, and these computers are reading in data thousands of times per second, making adjustments like the ratio of fuel to air that's going into the cylinders. These cheating Volkswagen and Audi models are diesels, and diesels have one more really important computer-controlled parameter, which is the amount of unburned fuel going into the exhaust. Now that sounds bad. It doesn't sound like you would want unburned fuel going into the exhaust. But in the case of a diesel, you have something called a NOx trap, which is a device that absorbs and traps nitrogen oxides that are pollutants that would otherwise go into the atmosphere. And the effect of that NOx trap is enhanced with unburned fuel. So a defeat device is a special program inside these computers that can make it look like the car meets emission standards even when it doesn't. Volkswagen had a problem on its hands. Its diesel engines were known for getting great fuel economy, but the NOx trap only works well when more fuel is being used. So the car would detect using this defeat device when it was getting an emissions test. It would use more fuel, make the NOx trap work well, emissions would be fine, but then you get on the road, the device turns off, you're burning less fuel, but you're putting as much as 40 times more pollutants into the atmosphere. But how the heck did the car know that it was being tested for emissions compliance? The EPA says it was a sophisticated system that checked things like steering wheel position, speed, how long the engine was on, and even the atmospheric pressure. In other words, there was no way this was accidental because the software was designed very carefully to detect an official emissions test. That's some pretty serious deception, and that's why Volkswagen is in such serious trouble.
Once the world's top automaker, Volkswagen has fallen to number 2. One reason? The company admits it rigged 11 million vehicles worldwide to cheat on emissions tests. Here's a breakdown of the scandal, blow by blow. A group of scientists at West Virginia University discovered that Volkswagen was using software in its diesel cars to cheat on clean air tests. The software detects when a car is being tested. The engine then runs differently, making emissions seem cleaner than they ordinarily are. They find emissions are up to 40 times higher than legal limits, but the company repeatedly denies the claims to U.S. officials. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announces that Volkswagen was manipulating its diesel cars to score better on emissions tests. Volkswagen admits rigging 500,000 cars in the U.S. to work around emission laws, but the company's problems are bigger than that. It admits the problem is global in scale, affecting 11 million cars worldwide. Amid calls to fix the affected vehicles, VW halts the sale of diesel cars in the U.S. CEO Martin Winterkorn apologizes and resigns. He's replaced by Matthias Müller, the head of VW's Porsche brand. Meanwhile, Volkswagen is hit by endless lawsuits from customers upset that their cars have lost value because of the software. Volkswagen's German headquarters are raided by police in search of incriminating documents as German prosecutors investigate. Volkswagen says they are cooperating, and anyone involved will face the full consequences. Days later, the French and Italian offices are also raided. Plans are announced to start recalling the 8.5 million affected cars across Europe. The company says they will be fixed by the end of 2016. VW cedes its recently won title of world's top automaker to Toyota. Michael Horn, head of Volkswagen in the U.S., testifies to U.S. lawmakers, blaming the scandal on a few engineers. Senior management was not involved, he says. After months of apologizing, VW decides it's time to pay up. The company forks over $500 each to owners of affected cars in the U.S. The gesture cost Volkswagen $250 million, but for some customers, it's no longer enough. They demand a buyback of the rigged vehicles. 9 managers suspected of involvement in the scandal are suspended by the company. Volkswagen says it will set up a fund to compensate owners, tapping mediator Ken Feinberg to decide how much each should get. Another exec is out. This time it's Michael Horn, CEO of Volkswagen Group of America. He resigns. Volkswagen reaches a deal to buy back or fix 500,000 U.S. cars involved in the emissions cheat. The company says the price tag for the crisis is double its original estimate. It sets aside about $18 billion to deal with the cost of the scandal. VW agrees to pay up to $14.7 billion to settle the issue. That's much more than any other automaker has paid for wrongdoing. Most of that money will go to owners of the affected vehicles. In addition to compensation for lost value, Volkswagen will have to either buy back or fix the cars. But this isn't the end of the story. The company still faces civil and criminal investigations.
Meine Damen und Herren, die Unregelmäßigkeit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the irregularities in our group's diesel engines go against everything Volkswagen stands for.
Auch ich habe zum jetzigen Zeitpunkt noch nicht die
At present,
Antworten auf alle
I also do not yet have the answers to all the questions, but we are working hard to find out exactly what happened. To do that, we're putting everything on the table, as quickly, rigorously, and transparently as possible. And we continue to cooperate closely with the relevant government organizations and authorities. This quick and full clarification has the highest priority. We owe that to our customers, our employees, and the public. And to be frank with you, manipulation and Volkswagen, that must never be allowed to happen again. Ladies and gentlemen, millions of people all over the world trust our brands, our cars, and our technologies. I am deeply sorry that we have broken this trust. I would like to make a formal apology to our customers, to the authorities, and to the general public for this misconduct. Please believe we will do everything necessary to reverse the damage, and we will do everything necessary to win back your trust, step by step. In our group, more than 600,000 people work to build the best cars for our customers. I would like to say to our employees, I know just how much dedication, how much true sincerity you bring to your work day after day. I am aware that many things have now been called into question, and I understand that. But it would be wrong to cast suspicion on the honest, hard work of so many because of the terrible mistakes made by only a few. Our team does not deserve that. That is why we are asking you, I personally am asking you, for your trust as we move forward. We will get to the bottom of this. We are working hard on the necessary technical solutions, and we will do everything we can to avert damage to our customers and employees. I give you my word. We will do all of this with the greatest possible openness and transparency.
And in my German words, we have totally screwed up.